Mogul and they know that. Logo on my flow mat. Courtside Chamberlain throwback match my Rolex. Everywhere I go flex. Valet Park on some low shit. Whole lot of smoke in that Rory, that thing post. Burning rubber. When the cameras, they was undercover.
Man, rest in peace to the late great Nipsey Hussle, man. A brilliant mind, a brilliant brother who had a vision beyond just being a rap superstar. A vision to help his people and to never forget where he came from. And always be the connecting bridge between the hood and the upper echelon of society, or the prominent places in society that some black people in his neighborhood thought were unreachable. So thinking about what Nipsey was doing got me thinking about a realization that I came to in my sophomore year of college, right? Because Nipsey was a person who, even though he made it to be successful, he made a lot of money in his lifetime to change his whole family's life and his friend's life. He never forgot where he came from. He was still in his community, actively in his community, at a store, opening up businesses in his community to serve his people, to employ his people who may have otherwise not have gotten employment opportunities at other organizations or other companies. So employing his people, buying property, investing in his community, like all around. Even starting a STEM program to connect inner city black youth to Silicon Valley and help them get the connections that they need to be successful ultimately down the line, and help them to access resources to be as successful as their wildest dreams ever imagined, right? So I remember when I was a kid, I told y'all, I used to think, when I was a kid, right, I used to want to live in Florida. I had it planned out. I said, when I get older, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to do the school thing. I'm going to give me a good job. I'm going to make a lot of money. And I'm going to move out of Chicago. I'm going to move to Florida, Miami, live on the beach, go to Disney World with my family, have a good time, and just live up and post up out there. I'm leaving the Chi. This home for me, but I'm gone. I just want to live somewhere else where it's warm all the time, got palm trees, fun weather, and just great activities, especially for tourism. So by the time I got to my sophomore year and I started coming back home, well, I was always coming home, but when I was coming back home for the summer and working in the summer and being around other kids that didn't have the opportunities that I had to go to college or didn't have the resources, they didn't go to the schools. I went to Chicago public schools, but they went to the schools that were on the lower end of the educational spectrum. So they didn't have the same opportunities or the same curriculum that I had. So college wasn't really in their future at that point, or they thought they couldn't do it for whatever reason. They thought they couldn't go to college. So when I came home, I would talk to these kids, and I realized, like, I have a responsibility to always reach back to my community and help people that look like me, that come from same circumstances that I come from, or even worse, or much different, because they need that help. You know, these are people that come from the same community that I come from, that I can relate to, and there are people here that really need help and need guidance and need positive male role models and positive influences. And the positive influences that will probably create the most change or influence them to do better is people that they know lived in the same conditions that they lived in and come from the same hoods that they come from, rather than a person who's far from this environment, that grew up in a setting that was not even like that probably grew up in a privileged setting. It would be harder for them to intake that information from them, because man, you don't understand what it's like to be here. You don't know. But me, on the other hand, I lived here. I lived it. I lived going to school every day on public transportation, like going through different neighborhoods and walking through different gang territories and having to come home and it's 10 dudes outside the store and you like, I just don't know what's going to happen, but I got to walk through this to get to my house. So I feel like it was my duty to not just leave, but at the same time, reach back and help pull other kids up as well. And I ain't made it nowhere near where I wanted to be in life. Not at all. But if I do, I have to stay connected to my community, because what's going to happen to the other kids who was just good kids living in a mad city like I was? Like Kendrick say, I wasn't a street kid. I wasn't running around in the streets, running wild, doing reckless stuff. I was a kid that just liked pretty girls, that liked basketball, that liked sports, that liked hip-hop music, that liked wearing Air Force Ones, and liked eating Harold's chicken. That was me. I wasn't no trouble kid, but it was all around me. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in some wild neighborhoods and some wild surrounding areas. But at the same time, I still had to keep my sanity and still stay sharp in my mind to know that life was bigger than Chicago, and to know that I had to stay focused to ultimately achieve whatever I wanted to achieve, basically. And what helped me was that I had strong parents. I didn't live in a two-parent household, but my father was strong in my life. My mother was strong in my life, and they really raised me to be leaders. And it's other individuals, other kids that don't have that same structured environment. They don't come from a family of structure, a household of structure. They come from a very dysfunctional family. And if they come from a dysfunctional family, the neighborhood is dysfunctional. Who can they turn to? Who do they have to talk to? Who can they relate to? Who can help guide them and keep them on a straight and narrow path? It has to be individuals like me. I can't leave and say, I made it out. Whatever happened to y'all happened to y'all. Because at the end of the day, the people here are still my people. And I remember once, if I leave and I'm just saying hypothetically, if I leave and I make a lot of money, I still gonna remember and resonate to the kid that's living in the South Side of Chicago, because I remember when it was me. When it was me and I was taking a bus and going through situations where I was nervous. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Because I'm going through these neighborhoods and, you know, it's gang activity all around you, but you still got to stay sharp in your mind, and you still got to be a leader and not a follower, and be resilient enough to know that that BS ain't going to get me nowhere. I got to stay on the right path, and I got a job to do, a job to complete. And for a kid that don't have those positive male influences in a household, or not even just male influences, positive influences at all, especially for young men, though, male influence is needed. But yeah, if they don't have influences at all, positive influences at home or in the street, what you think gonna happen? They're gonna turn to the streets, because at this point, it's all they know. They knowing negativity. They seeing a negative cycle, you know, continue, and they start thinking it's normal to be like that. It takes for individuals that went to college, like myself and friends and Melvin, my boy, that went to college, got their degree, working jobs, that stayed focused, that didn't get into a life of drugs and alcoholism, that didn't become alcoholics, stuff like that. They need individuals that maintain positivity even in a wild environment, that was able to overcome that, so they can know that they can do it too, and it's possible. So it would be selfish of me I can leave, but I always have to stay connected. It would be selfish of me not to come back and help bring up another kid who's trying to find his way in a city that's got so many different distractions for him to get into, so many stuff for him to get sucked into, so many different pitfalls and sinkholes for him to fall into. If the older men in this community are locked up, deceased, or on drugs, if those individuals, all the men in his community like that, who can he turn to? He's supposed to turn to the kid, the young man that went to school or started a business or grew as a person and evolved and doing better with his life. He's supposed to turn to that person and look for guidance and say, how do I navigate through this? Black man, teach me how to navigate through this, these circumstances, these issues that I'm facing. Teach me how to navigate through this successfully. And then that's where my job comes in, to mentor and establish a relationship with these young men that they can know that they can lean on me for whatever advice or guidance that they need, possibly. And because at the end of the day, it's our job to help clean up the communities that we come from and to help to help create more leaders for tomorrow. I often despise when men say, it's not my job to raise another man's kids or other men's kids. You know, yes, if you take on the responsibility of raising another man's child, there's nothing wrong with that. It's honorable. But nobody's telling, and even if you don't, nobody's telling the people to you got to pay a kid's school fees out your pocket and all of that just because they live in your neighborhood. But you're supposed to want to be able to guide the young men in your community if they leading down the wrong path, especially when they growing up in the neighborhood with your own kids and your own family. Because you don't want them to prey on your kids, and because they have predatory behavior that they learn from the ignorance going on in the street, you're supposed to want to help mold those children. You know what I'm saying? That's why I would never say stuff like that. I ain't shoot. That's another man's kids. I ain't got nothing to do with that man kid. He out here doing this. I ain't man shoot. Ain't my kid. I ain't fooling with him. Shoot, he do what he do outside in the street. Ain't got nothing to do with me. Got everything to do with me. Because he out here living amongst me, my sisters, my brothers, my kids. He out here living amongst people that I love. And if I don't teach them what their father didn't teach them, or whatever whatever family members that were supposed to be teaching them, if they didn't teach him that, he gonna be out here trying to violate my people. So it's important to help the kids, the good kids just living in the mad cities, and help the kids that's going down the wrong path that just need guidance and calling and crying out for help. But they crying out for help to people that can't understand them. They can't understand where they come from and why they think the way they think, or why they behave in the way they behave. Me personally, I think a lot of the stuff is foolish, but at the same time, I know where these kids getting this stuff from. And if we can get to the source of the problem and come up with a solution and help be the solution, then we have a better community for our people to thrive and grow in, where it's not people just attacking each other and leading crazy lives, but at the same time, thinking positive, and we putting our minds together to help change things in our community, help build our community up, but help become prominent members of society and become responsible people and responsible adults. We would teach the kids to become responsible youth who will grow into responsible adults, is what I'm saying. So it's my responsibility to help to come back all the time and let people know, let the youth know that anything, I hate the cliche, anything is possible. But you can achieve some of the stuff you never thought you could achieve just by looking at another individual who was in the same situation that you were once in, or you're in now, that came out of that to become an honorable person and a person that's doing well for themselves. So when I think about Nipsey Hussle's effect on the black community, he showed individuals that even though his life was tragically taken away in his hood, he showed individuals that it's a certain respect that comes to a man who never forgets where he comes from and helps people who need that help, and doesn't shy away from it. Doesn't say, oh, they ain't my children now. They ain't my kids. I ain't got nothing to do with them. Shoot, I'm worried about my kids. No. He said, you know what? I see that kid needs to be raised and need guidance. I'm going to raise that child. I'm going to raise that kid. I'm going to bring that kid up. Even though it's not mine, I'm going to bring that kid up because he need it. He or she need it. You know what I mean? And that's what you call an honorable man. That's what you call an honorable man who has morals and integrity that are commendable, that are admirable. And that's why Nipsey is getting the love that he's getting today. Because of his commitment to his people, his commitment to his craft and his commitment to his people. And he let his commitment to his craft put him in position to be able to help his people in ways I feel like he probably always wanted to do. But he was just hoping he can get it. And when he got it, he kept good on the promises. He kept good on the thoughts that he had. The whole time I'm watching Nipsey's interviews over the years, since like 2009, 2010, he was growing and evolving more and more and more each year, talking about the books he was reading, talking about what he was doing in the community. And again, not just talking about doing it, but actually doing it. And now I have to turn my words that I'm spewing to y'all into action. And it has to be sown. And it can start off small, but ultimately, it got to be a big thing to help the youth of Chicago know that it's individuals here who understand where they come from, that can empathize with them, but at the same time, going to teach them how to elevate themselves beyond the common tragic stories that we hear all the time, beyond their circumstances, elevate themselves beyond their negative circumstances to become a bright staple of the community. So again, it's my job to not, if I were to come into some money, to never forget about Chicago and always make sure that my presence will be felt in these communities around the city. And even not just in Chicago, in other black communities as well, other inner city communities where we have minorities, to let them know that, you know, I understand the plight. I understand the plight of our people, but at the same time, I'm here to help correct a lot of the wrong that was done in the past, to help guide the generation to be the leaders for tomorrow. So at the end of the day, I came to the conclusion that even if I do get that big house on the hills and I live in Miami or California and I'm living good, I have to reach back. I have to reach back to the kids here. And not even just the kids, the adults here that went through all type of pain and trauma, to help rise them up above those past pain and trauma, to let them know that it's still a person that cares for them and cares about their situation and wants to help them change their situation as best as possible. Change a negative situation into a positive. So, got to bridge those gaps, man. And, you know, that's one thing I realized. Really, it's up to us to bridge these gaps within our community and to help our people. Because if one person make it and be successful, it's never going to be no good for us. We need a lot of successful people. A lot of successful people to put our society, especially the black community, on the up and up. And let us realize that it's better stuff out there for us. You know, if we only know that we can actually do the things that people say that we can do. If we can actually do the things that other people can do. If we put our mind to it, stay focused, and have individuals who are mentors to help guide us when we may think about falling off or falling astray. So that's my 2 cents, y'all. Rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle. Peace.